So pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
February minutes, can I get a motion on that? Motion to approve. I'll second. I should mention that Nora was not able to make it tonight. All those in favor? Aye, unanimous. Matt, you want to lead us through the business administrator comments?
Okay, so I'm gonna go as quick as possible because I have a lot of information here. The first thing is the inflation for, the current inflation is 6%. I can bring it up on the screen so that everyone can see it. So it's for January and it's at 6%. I was kind of hoping to see that the percentage rate would decline, but it's not, it's still hanging on there. The financial condition encumbrances through March 6th are linked right here in the report. If you guys want to look at it, click on the link. And they include all POs that were issued throughout the entire fiscal year to date. Okay. Cash balance of the school district is, as of January 31st, was $5,901,834. This balance is sufficient to operate the district for 1.9 months, assuming a burn rate of almost 3,100,000. So far, the towns of Kingston and Newton are current, as well as the Fremont School District. As of January 31, we recorded total revenues of $31,748,171, not including the use of fund balance to reduce the tax rate. Notable revenues for the month are the Fremont School District tuition for $912,664, earnings on investment of $19,973, state adequacy for $1,113,421. It's interesting to note that $15,555 came from our investment at the New Hampshire, it's called PDIP, which is a state investment pool. The annual interest rate or the yield was 4.46% for the month of January.
And that on that state adequacy aid, is that the last payment coming in for that?
I don't believe it is. I think there's one more coming. Actually, I can say for certain. So if you were to click open the revenue report and adequacy right here, there's another payment of $1,113,000 remaining.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I thought we normally get the last one right around this time. It's good to see that it's not the case.
Yeah. So non-health insurance expenditures, I tried something new this month. Jamie had asked for an explanation of how the surplus balance changed from one month to the next, or one report to the next. And so I was able to pull out everything except for one item. We'll go over that. So through January, we've spent, expenditures were $16,575,217, and encumbrances remaining is $14,497,642. Remaining appropriation is $757,775, or 2.38%. It's a reduction from the last report of $160,672 from the last report, the last Finance Committee report. Notable changes, not including healthcare here. The first one is we've spent almost $24,000 on substitutes for the month of January. We hired, we filled a vacant custodial position, and we've spent and encumbered $28,015. So just remember, this is, when I'm throwing out these numbers, they're from the beginning of January through the end of the year. Okay. Yep. So $83,426 for the new baking principal. Now, this is where I'm having a problem, is I need to be backing out the old baking principal.
Yeah.
And when you click off that position, it removes all the historical encumbrance information. So we have to manually calculate it. All right. So right now, all we did, we put in wages, manually calculated wages and benefits for $75,543. We're working
It
on.
says there's like a $9,000 differential between what we originally, encumbered versus what we're encumbering now because of the change in headcount.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, we're working on a system to better track this, okay? The next one is 27,000 to, hire or fill a vacant position for grounds department. And, we issued $97,811 in new POs for the current period. I didn't include electricity in there because, that's swapping really one, PO for another. And what I noticed in the list of purchase orders, it doesn't include those where we've adjusted the purchase order. Those are hard to see or draw out, okay? Moving on to health insurance expenditures through January. Our expenditures to date are $2,263,968, and encumbrances were $2,412,405. The remaining amount is $697,237, or 12.98%. This is an increase in the surplus of $9,257. Changes are, we have a reduction. So basically, someone exchanged their health insurance for a health insurance waiver. And that information is in their salaries, because instead of, for New Hampshire retirement purposes, we got to track it as earned income rather than more of a deduction, okay? The next one is $21,853 in budget adjustments for purposes other than health insurance, okay? And a copy of all the budget adjustments are linked down below. So the capital reserve funds through January, I can jump into those if you want, but I think we should go over this first.
Yeah, please.
Total reserves, or you want me to jump into it?
No, just let's go through this.
Total reserves, to date or through the end of January are $1,630,055. The effective interest rate for the trustees is 6.07% versus 4.46% that we got in the state pool. So for this particular period, the trustees, beat us.
Well done.
You're in person. Nice to see you. Sorry to interrupt. Another meeting, couldn't get out.
So it's interesting to note that the trustees, or the financial institution for the trustees, restated their financial statement for the month of January because we questioned their allocation of interest for that month. And I've never actually seen a financial institution restate before. And so what I've done is I've given a summary of what the old statement said and what the new statement said. All they're doing is they're just reallocating interest between the different funds that we have. So moving on to the custodial service contract, we've issued the RFP. The next step in that is there's a mandatory walkthrough on March 9th, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Any company interested in the contract, we're going to be walking through this building, through the area, so they can actually see it, measure it, and verify all the information on the RFP. Has to show up.
How many different people do you have?
Right now, I just have one. I did get 2 more inquiries, but one's from like Michigan and the other one's from like Wisconsin. Food service fund, with free lunch ending for all, and meal prices increasing, we're seeing a slowdown in meal revenue. I received a phone call from the management team of our food service provider. They're concerned that they're projecting a negative income for year end. They're recommending 2 price changes that are a separate agenda item. Okay.
Price decreases to us, the price change.
Well, they want to increase the meal prices being charged to students. Okay. For next year.
You can always tell when he's being dragged in, so I wasn't sure if he,
Yeah. Just to kind of get you caught up, we brought some thoughts to the facility committee about, a piece of equipment, and it's called a Ventrac. Right now, we're trying to, evaluate a piece of equipment to replace the Kubota snow blower. The Kubota snow blower is this large piece of equipment in the back of the building that is really at end of life. And what we've done is I've given you a list of the current specifications, and we're trying to identify pieces of equipment to sell or trade, to tear down the fleet. Okay, I'm putting it up here on the screen. The top part right here, this is the actual item that they want to buy for the piece of equipment. Down below in column E, these are the pieces of equipment that they want to buy right away. Over to the right in column F are the pieces that they will eventually want to buy. And then column H, these are the pieces of equipment that they want to replace. And what I've done is I've given, like, say, for example, the contour mower is $8,600. It's going to replace a big mower, well, a large mower. It's not one of the big ones. It's got 407 hours on it, but we want to trade that because we don't want to keep the mower if we're going to get another mower. But the John Deere tractor doesn't have enough hours on it to really warrant getting rid of it. But the Kubota has almost 13,000 hours, and it actually failed on us in the last snowstorm, and they got it going again. So that is the piece of equipment that's at end of life. So right now, what they're at is $65,610. This is where we are today. Okay. Down below are the piece of equipment that they're looking at in parting with, and we haven't come up with an estimated trade-in value. So the financial consideration hasn't been completed, but I want to kind of get you started on thinking about it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into the details, and there's a lot of questions to the bags.
Okay. The next thing is Otis Elevator. They surprised us with communication that one of the controllers in the elevator in this building is now obsolete. They gave us a quote. The quote is for over $19,000. We really need to assess whether we want to stay with Otis as our elevator company or move on.
When's the certification on the elevator out?
The certification really doesn't matter if we're going to switch companies. I've done it before.
Well, I understand. Do you know when it's out there?
No, I don't.
So, the elevator isn't broken. They're just telling you that the part is obsolete. So do we have a quote from another company?
We're evaluating whether we're going to stay or go. And if we're going to go, but if the other company can get the part, okay, or maintain the existing equipment, we want to hear from them.
Right.
Okay. So I only got the communication, I think yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to tell them the pound sand. That's kind of like a blackmail type tactic. Hey, it's obsolete. You need to replace it right away.
Yeah.
One thing you gotta find out is, are there controllers out there that are still for sale that are obsolete? You just put them on the shelf.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I agree 100%. I assume the elevator is used for handicap purposes, right?
Mhm.
So if it does go down, we're now aware of that there's an issue.
Yeah, it's
But
sometimes.
it is one of those.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, the usage of the elevator right now is down significantly.
Yeah, but
Thankfully.
you need it, you have to have it. And,
Yeah, you have to have
so,
it.
yeah, to Jamie's point, you can have backup on the shelf, and you can have someone swap it out.
Okay.
Yeah, that at least gives us a fallback position. But I would certainly be looking at people over the notice if that's where they treat their customers.
Absolutely. The next one is water systems. We're having some difficulties with the water systems at Baking Memorial. And just to kind of give you some background, we have 4 water systems in the district: Baking Memorial, the old middle school, and this building. All the systems are end of life or exceeding end of life. This building, that system, however, has fared very well and is in excellent condition. So I'm thankfully reporting that we're not focusing any attention on this building. However, the filters, for Beatty Memorial failed and need to be rebuilt or replaced. Our water treatment equipment vendor has recommended that we replace the filters with modern filters. The old system depends upon an aggregate, which is more like a stone, to remove arsenic from the water. This makes the water acidic, which the other system is more mechanical. It doesn't really require any water, and it doesn't create an acidic environment in the water. So we're not actually having to use add material to the water to reduce the acidity. The new system, I'm sorry, we're expecting that the new system will reduce operating costs. However, the vendor is also recommending that we replace the system at the middle school to accommodate both the middle school and Memorial. Right now, we just don't really feel that that is feasible. However, if we put the filters in at Memorial, and someday if we try to consolidate the two, we can move the filter from Memorial to the middle school.
To be clear, the old middle school.
Yeah,
Which is now with the SLC. So I met with the vendors, I went over when they were there, and I asked them what the options were. There are three options. One is to kind of piecemeal repair the system as it is. The second is to install the new filters, get rid of some of the stuff over there that's really old. Medium price, and then the Cadillac price was to just redo the system. I felt that it made sense because these filters can be moved later. Should we decide that we need to redo the whole system, that we're not really wasting much money by buying the new filters, which I think was 12,000.
I put it in the quote, so Beatty is,
Sorry, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
I think, I think there was cost savings because you're also eliminating the, I don't know if it's phosphorus or whatever.
If there is a filter system, it's a few grand in savings.
yeah.
It's not much, but it's a few $1,000s, which
So
helps.
Beatty's 24,000. And Memorial is. Yeah, 24,000.
24,000, okay.
Okay.
And that included I'm sorry, Matt, can you put that back up? I haven't
Yeah.
looked at it in a long time.
It's replacing the conditioners and two absorbers.
Yeah.
With an
Bypass.
with an iron enhanced filter.
Yeah.
And then you have the bypass kit.
Did we have any information on the annual operating cost savings? You said it would save some because we went to buy the chemical from what that is.
Well, he said roughly $3,000.
Yeah.
It was just an estimate. But so we wanted to talk to the community about it's water.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple to me that like we need to have safe drinking water and safe water in the school. And we can continue to do bottled water for another month and try to get other bids for this job, but we wanted to talk to you about the fact that this company knows our system, maintains our system, and we wanted to get direction from you as to whether or not if we do get other bids for the job. I told them to draw up the RFP. Like what would the specifications, what would you need to do this job, so that if we want to go the direction of getting more quotes, we can. I wasn't sure how we were gonna feel as a group about delaying fixing water. So it's always that balance of like, is this really an emergency or is it a want? Right? So I'm not saying that I'm saying it's water. That we can continue to hand out bottled water and handle it that way until we get more quotes if that's what we want to do. I can't tell you how long that will take. I don't know water companies. Matt doesn't know. We have to call and find other people. The guy told me and us that he would probably be not necessarily the lowest bid, but they back their products up. So previously they went with the lowest bid 7 years ago, and then the product failed. He had to come in and fix it. So
This is the company that's been repairing and fixing.
the company that's been repairing and fixing was saying that they lost a bid previously to a lower cost company, but they didn't do the work correctly.
It wasn't the material that they put in, it was what they didn't touch.
Right.
So it wasn't a warranted item.
Right, it wasn't a warranted item, but I don't like that the drinking water doesn't work. I would prefer to just pay for it and fix it. It's kind of important to me. But if the sentiment is that we really need to get 2 or 3 quotes for this, then I'm fine, I'll do it. But it's gonna mean that we're gonna handle a bottle of water probably for another 2 months. The other thing is that this company had available at the time that we spoke to them, the ability to work on it next Friday. Right, so they were quick, they were like, look, you have I asked them to hold March 17th before we had this meeting. And then they could come in on March 17th and fix it. So that is a possibility if we want it done immediately, so they were available and they had the parts. Something to think about, right, so I'm asking the two of you, like, I had hoped that more would be here, but it's totally okay, I mean, I understand that. And if we need to amend the agenda this evening and have a conversation, I'm open to that too.
You mean with the board?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the agenda tonight.
Oh, you already put it on.
No, it's on the
Oh, thanks.
agenda, and the guy's gonna show up.
Oh, he's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wow, you really got.
I mean, my information, again, not, I don't provide information, so of course, see what kind of information we have, is a differential. The differential is $1,000 or $200.
Right, if it's 10 grand, that's another story.
Right, if it's 10 grand, but then what exactly are you doing versus what the other guy's doing? Then you have some assessments to make. Is 10 grand real? Can somebody really do this for $14,000 in a way that's sufficient to meet our needs?
Right.
At least you get some idea of where we are, particularly since we have a solution of bottled water. That'd be my inclination, but I'm not wed to it. I don't know what your thoughts were.
I'm concerned with water, right? Water baking has been a question since I've been in, so. And now there's a question about water at Memorial, right, from my understanding.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what the company has to say. I think, I don't know how quickly you're gonna close, that's the issue.
Well, I took the liberty of asking him to, please excuse my, I don't have your acumen for all the different terms, so I asked him to spec it out, like what needs to be done. And I asked him to, so that we can move quickly. So at least that cost us $800. I said, just do it.
Yeah, filters are interchangeable, you know, the lesser of replacing the entire system, you know, nursing it along isn't working from what I've seen so far.
I think it's kind of like the boiler. We've nursed to the point where it's done.
And then
You know?
it breaks.
We've done this route with Memorial before, and actually, where we've had these bottled waters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And wait for it to get fixed.
yeah, okay, just to be specific, I think there's 2 different types of arsenic, there's arsenic 3 and arsenic 5. I think the system can remove arsenic 5, but also arsenic 3 showed up. So one of the filters changes, arsenic 3 to arsenic 5, and then it can remove it. So not every system, operates the same way, because removing the arsenic is specific for that location. And so it took almost a year to actually get it to be removed.
And these filters that they're, that they're suggesting we put in removes that, right?
Yes.
My concern is not particularly, my bigger concern isn't just particularly school related. If we have arsenic on those 2 campuses, what about the households around it? Their wells,
guys,
I mean, what's the situation with that?
I test annually. I'm like, yeah, we don't drink the water there. It's not safe.
Arsenic is prevalent in this area of the
Yeah.
city. So it would be, I recommend that you go and test your water.
Yep.
Okay,
And well, we just don't drink it, and I can't. We just use bottled water. It's not safe, but it is pretty bad.
yeah, and just so you, I know, PFOA's or PFAS came up as an issue, recently. We've been testing for PFAS in all of our schools for the last 4 years. Okay, and we've not seen any PFAS in our water samples.
That's good.
All right, so I did talk to the gentleman this morning, reminded him that he's gonna be on for tonight, and I also reminded him that I'm looking for the specifications, just in case. Okay? Transportation, so our regular ed transportation provider has offered a 25% discount on missed routes. That move us. Okay? And I've asked to go into a deeper dive on how they calculated the 25%, and they refused to give it to me because they're saying that there's corporate secrets in the numbers. And so really, I calculated through December a discount of $5,551. And I I'm thinking we're at a point where we just need to settle this and move on, okay? And then keep getting,
Reconcile it monthly or quarterly?
well,
'Cause I
This
think
is
the
through
blue bus was
December.
missed on Monday.
I know, yeah,
Yeah, it's only through December.
right, this is just through December. And then I'm gonna be telling them I'm gonna be taking it from their bill each and every month. But I'm really more, I wanna hear what you guys have to say about the 25%.
Is there anything in the contract that references 25%?
No, what it does is it just maximizes the amount of the damages. And it's something like, it's almost $1,000 a run.
They're too concerned.
No, it's just a couple of. There's nothing in the contract that says they have to give us this money, right?
It's at our discretion, the contract says it's at our discretion to charge a penalty for missed runs. So we can do this.
And the penalty is,
They want you to negotiate a settlement, and there's a maximum amount that you can penalize them.
so what's the amount that we can, penalize them?
The maximum amount is far greater than $5,000.
So is that the number we gave it?
No, this is the number that they're pushing, and I'm trying to expand it.
I think I need to see the contract. to figure it out.
Sure.
Because I'm a little bit.
Knowing you, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
yeah, because I think
So I
if
can,
there's a penalty in the contract, and we can assess the penalty, then that should be the number to start with, not a number they give us.
so
So
here's
then we're
the,
negotiating against ourselves.
here's the gist of it, is that the rationale I felt was pretty sound, and I don't think Matt is really clearly explained that, so I'll do it. So you have you have the elementary and the middle and high school runs, right? And then what they did is they said, those runs cost roughly the same amount of money, because it's really the same run, done twice. Right, because you pick up the bus, I mean, it's the same, similar routes, similar number of buses and bus drivers. So you have let's just say it's $1 million for the contract, for the sake of these, I think it's 880, right?
No, it's $1 million.
It's $1 million now, okay, so let's say $1 million. 50% of that is the elementary one, the new bus, right? And then 50% of that amount is the morning part. And then when you take the number of runs and take that 25% divided by the number of runs, the rough cost for missing one run was X, and then they multiply it by the number of times that they missed it. So they were trying to kind of get to the middle of it. I have no problem with Matt ripping up the contract, sending it back to them and saying no, but the goal for them was to get to the point where they were saying, this is roughly what it costs per bus run. Did I get that right?
Well, they do have a cost per bus run. What they're trying to do is limit their damages.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be?
Here's
Should
my
we go into
concern.
non-public for negotiations for this?
Yeah,
I think we should.
I'll make one point that I don't mind it being public is. I agree with Rick, to take over the contract. The other part is, you want to be aware of setting a price tag that has been negotiated that says you can miss this whenever you want for this price tag, because they might just determine that price tag is cheaper than running the bus. You've already given them that, well, you can not run the bus whenever you don't want to and just pay us this money.
But then,
And that's not something we can live with.
Right.
but then that's default. Then there should be default.
Right,
Straight up default.
Right. But I do think we should talk about this in non-public and get into some details, but I'm concerned with what I'm seeing on the paper here.
Yeah, and we don't have a problem with that. We just wanted to start by bringing it to you and have a conversation. Do you want to finish the agenda and then go to the non-public in this
Well,
meeting?
we have to
Yeah.
put it, we have to notice them on public, on the agenda.
Oh, you don't have a standing one notice? Okay.
We can talk about it in the,
We can go to the next meeting.
non-public that we have in the next week. We already have a non-public for negotiations, meeting.
Perfect.
Okay,
In the meantime, can you send Matt and Jeannie the contract?
Absolutely.
They'll take a look at it pretty quickly.
mhm,
Sorry, did I say, yeah, Matt and Jeannie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta get back into the baby. What do you say?
I said, thanks, Bob.
Yeah, okay.
okay. This next one is more or less, I want to make you guys aware. We're having, an uptick in vandalism. Most has been towards the bathroom. However, we've also had, damage to the water fountains. We're aggressively, trying to identify the people involved. and take swift action against them. What you're gonna see is we're gonna be putting cameras up, because what's happened is the water fountains are, pushed into the wall, and the cameras don't have a good line of sight on the water fountains. So we're gonna be putting up more cameras in the building, to capture more data.
Just from a what do we do perspective, I would hope that if we catch the person doing it, we're billing them and their families to pay for it.
We will be.
I had a conversation with Matt and Dan about, we started off with typical discipline, suspensions. And then Matt had negotiated with one family that if they couldn't pay, that the student would do some community service, like service work. We are going the hard line from this point forward. And the hard line is you get suspended for the discipline component, you get referred to the police for vandalism, and you pay for it. That's it. And that is exactly what we're doing. So I had a meeting with them and explained to them, and I had a meeting with the principals yesterday and explained to them that this is a no tolerance situation. We have been tolerant, we tried to explain to people. I'm having extensive conversations with the middle and high school administration, Dan and Matt, about what to do next, and I don't want to be public about that, I'm not ready yet. But the first step was to say the hard line. It's a police referral. It's not just school discipline.
Should,
It's a
I mean,
police
you get
referral.
back into this is the squeegee man situation in New York from 20 years ago, where if you allow that kind of thing to go on, it just snowpiled and
Yeah.
before long, you're out of control with all kinds of other adverse behaviors that you don't really want to get into.
Well, we have seen some of that too.
Well, yeah, that's what my concern is. So, yeah, we should be dropping that hammer as hard as we can as soon as we have any information.
Yeah, I agree. So the cameras are critical. Because what we're finding out, what I told Dan and Matt is, as long as it's not like some insane amount of money, a few $1,000s or whatever, we had some cameras that weren't functioning. They have to be functioning. The only place I can't put a camera is in the bathroom, in the classroom.
Correct.
I want to be able to view, I want them to figure out what it takes to be able to view any angle in the school that isn't in those two areas. I should never have to say, I can't see that on the camera. And I've had 2 incidences in the last 6 weeks that I couldn't see it on a camera, and it was not good. And I was not happy because I'm not mad at them or anything, it's just, we've never had that happen before. So now that I know, we have to do something about it, right? You have to respond to the stimulus. And the stimulus is, we had a parent situation where a parent became incredibly angry at the principal, that camera wasn't working. Then I had another situation where a student vandalized a water fountain. And there was like a cement wall that comes out around the water. I don't know why it's built that way. We need to put a camera on the water fountain. Because the water fountain is a place that people congregate. And things can happen. So I can't see it this way, but not see it's not a bathroom. So you can put a camera there. So we are going to be looking at 360 degrees of camera views in the whole building. I just need, just for the sake of those listening at home, this is not acceptable. Between the fights and vandalism, we've had a really great fall with very few fights. And then all of a sudden we had 3 big ones in a row. But the vandalism has been going on for 2 years. And it's gotta stop.
So the conversations that I've had since I've been on the board about vandalism is, we haven't billed people because they couldn't afford to pay for it.
One in particular.
We should bill everybody.
Yep.
And if they don't pay, the kids shouldn't graduate.
Yeah, they don't get
I
the
how.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah.
It's 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we agree with
refer to
you.
the police.
Yeah.
It's all it does is it costs everybody, and it's controllable, 100% controllable.
As
So
long as we can catch
we're
them.
spending money. We're spending money right now to control a problem we're spending money. We're throwing money. It's like throwing money on fire.
It is, but I might be misreading your cue here. Are you agreeing with me that putting the cameras up is the
Oh.
right thing to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Because my feeling is being proactive and spending some money on the cameras helps me to manage and catch. What I know about human behavior is that if it's allowed or tolerated, it will continue or get worse.
My only concern is we're sitting here today and we're saying that there's gonna be a no tolerance policy, right? I don't know if we have that written or we need to. But I'm all for spending money for the cameras, as long as we're going to make sure that we're recouping money for the vandalism.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And the other piece is, I'm hoping that it just stops. Because if we catch enough kids doing it
Deterrent,
and we
cameras
hold it,
up.
right, yeah, yeah. And the reality is that it not only increases the accountability for the vandalism, it also increases the likelihood that I'm going to catch kids doing illicit things. So either dealing with vape materials or drugs or fights.
Yeah.
Because if I have a camera on every area that I can see, then it makes it quicker and easier. The problem is that it takes a long time to go through all the camera footage to find some things. And so we're working on implementing a more strict sign in, sign out model. I mean, look, my message to the kids is gonna be low trust, high cost. We don't trust you to be in the halls, so now it costs us time and money to manage you.
Or the message could be, it's an investment in protecting the students, so they have a safe environment and protecting the campus.
That's a
Against
positive
vandalism.
spin on it.
Yeah.
That's, but
I
the
think that's-
reality is that the kids should be able to be here without us doing all this.
300%.
It is absolutely ridiculous. It's not like, it's just infuriating. I mean, they are absolutely capable of behaving appropriately. The vandalism is insane.
And I have a feeling it's only a handful. It's not.
Oh, I want to catch it.
Ultimately, want the vast majority of the kids to have it in their mindset that you're attacking my stuff, not their stuff. This is my stuff. This is my high school, and I'm not gonna tolerate it. Not
That
that
is
they're gonna
exactly-
do it. I'm not gonna tolerate it.
Protecting the campus.
And,
I won't go into details, but let's just say the message will be clear.
and it's more than just cameras. So I may be putting in some more door access.
To the locker rooms. Because the locker rooms seem to be a problem. So we'll bring you more, but we want you to know that we are actively talking about this and we're trying to figure out a full proposal. The first thing, I don't even need to do any more thinking about it, is the cameras. The second is limiting certain access to certain areas with key cards.
Okay. I'm gonna jump on to the agenda again.
Yep.
We've already spoken about inflation. I spoke about some of the changes from 1 month to the next.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. That was good.
Year-end surplus. Right now, my year-end surplus is about $500,000. I'm projecting. However, I'm hearing things, especially in special education, that could cause strain on that number. Okay,
What did you give us last month, Vanessa?
I think I gave you 500 to 600,000. Since then, one more child got identified as an out-of-district placement. Trust fund balances. The first one is, these are balances through January 31st. Special education trust fund balance as $244,053. We have interest in the month of $1,235. The next one is the capital improvement and maintenance capital reserve fund. Interest of $1,653. The balance is $326,911. Unanticipated education expenses. The interest income for the month is $1,281, and the balance is $253,206. The unanticipated utility cost expendable trust fund is interest for the month is $384, and the current balance is $75,934. I do have to say that the trustees really kicked it out of the park with the interest for the month. I calculated 6.07% for an annualized interest rate. The facility use revolving fund, revenue of $10,749, a balance of $192,132. We do have an adjustment in the month where in December's reconciliation, we identified a double entry for a rental, and we removed it in January.
Let me just go back, get my mind so stuck on the expended. So you say about 500,000, is that with or without healthcare? Because healthcare was sitting at about 700,000. I think we
Oh,
said last time it was
year-end.
5. Yeah, the year-end number.
yeah,
So is it the non-healthcare that you're referring to is at the
No,
500, or you're saying
overall.
both of them together is
This is-
500?
well, it's more than just that, because you have to look at the, whether you're gonna have surplus revenues or not.
Yeah.
So surplus revenues gets piled into that number.
Right,
Okay, so with all that whole calculation, and this is also assuming that we're taking out the contingency at the max, and I think it's for next year, I think it's $612,000. Okay? So, the school board can obviously adjust the year-end number by adjusting the amount of contingency held at year-end.
sure. I just thought that we said last year, I'll go back and look at the video. I thought we said last month that the 600,000 was excluding health, was just on non-health expenditures, and then there'd be also the healthcare. I'm just trying to understand, are you saying the total, both accounts combined, you're expecting
Oh.
5 to 600?
Total, both accounts combined, including surplus revenues if we have any,
It's 500,000.
500,000.
So it's been, because of the special ed,
It's getting tight.
well, the special ed referrals or whatever, that's 3 or 4.
That's what's driving it. I got a set aside of 300,000 for special education referrals. I have 100,000 set aside for the curriculum materials that we're gonna discuss at tonight's meeting.
Yeah, for special ed.
For special ed, yeah, okay.
Can you resend me that spreadsheet, or is that in my file?
No, I haven't given it out.
You showed it last time.
I think I probably may have showed it to you offline.
No, I thought you had it up on the screen.
It is totally okay, we can share.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's wide open, I mean, it is what it is.
Sure.
And it's not clear because Troy's working really hard
Yeah.
on a couple of these kids. Obviously, we can't discuss anything because it's not an easy decision.
Yep.
But we are aware, as Troy has gone through and done what we've asked him to do, which is to analyze what's going on, he's fine with it.
well, ultimately, we have an obligation to do whatever the data shows in terms of if it's needed.
Well, and it goes back to the whole conversation that we were having a year ago, I don't mind saying this part openly, is that one of the concerns that came forward through the conclusion of last year, and the exit interviews in my meetings with the staff throughout last year and this year, is that there are some students in the district that maybe shouldn't be in the district, and they are disrupting the learning of everyone. So it's disrupting the regular ed students, it's taking up a ton. So remember, if Troy has a student that is taking up 2 or 3 adults, almost full-time resource, when he sends them out of district, we can gain those 2 or 3 adults back to work with other students.
Yeah.
And we have problems with staffing. So the problem is he's been having difficulty finding places for them to go because the places don't have enough staff. So they're not accepting students. It's unbelievable, the cumulative staffing shortage issues, how they're affecting every layer of the system.
But I think we all agree that from a Sanborn resources perspective, if we are not capable of providing special needs to somebody that has severe special need requirements, then we need to get them where they can be for the betterment of the child and for the betterment of everybody in the district.
And that's the law. We have to do it. Yeah.
All right, so, what I do is I start off with estimated revenues, this is the amount, and I ran it through the end of February, which is 1 month, ahead of where we reported
Yeah.
tonight, okay? So I had uncollected revenues of 4.4 million. These are I have to use the use of fund balance because it's a budgeted revenue, and it's just like it's a hard one to explain. This is, you're budgeting for net income loss, basically. Then these are the other revenues that we have yet to collect up to the budget, okay? So that if we collect everything, we're gonna have a surplus of $66,000. So we really tried to budget as tight as possible for the tax rate, okay? Then we have available expenditures as of the end of February, $1.2 million, okay? Then, we have 2 capital reserve funds, that, again, this is like budgeting for net income loss. This is the two capital reserve funds that are gonna be voted on next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I add back, we're releasing the
Yeah.
2.5 contingency,
Correct.
okay? Then I have a calculation to calculate the upper amount,
Yeah,
okay? 612. I've got $300,000 in estimated, estimated out of district placements. Last month Troy said that it drops by $100,000 each month if we can't place the student. Okay. Special education curriculum for $100,000.
that one I like to get a better understanding of what does that mean?
He's buying specific instructional programs for particular reading and mathematics for students that are way below grade level. Because he listening. Okay, you do a great job.
Okay. I put in $9,100 for, playground repairs for a quote that came in there. In Memorial, there's a handicap piece of equipment, or playground piece of equipment that's broken. To repair it is $9,100. That there's not an encumbrance out there for that. Also estimated, water repair system, repairs to the water system of $50,000. So, this is my number, 631,000. That to me
And that's
feels
all, so
high.
that answers my question about what's in that.
Okay, I'm projecting 500,000 by just looking at that. Okay,
Now, to be clear, the likelihood that any of those students will be placed in the month of March is low now. Right, just.
Yeah, because you're already in the month.
Exactly, so they'll probably be, I mean, it really is a rough estimate at this point.
Sure that agenda, I think. Yeah, I interrupted you on the trust fund balances.
I was back at, I was down at, the 2.5%, did you see? Yeah. And then
Okay.
over the $1.6 million surplus. But I think that discussion about year-end balances was great because it kind of gives you an idea of what the next step may occur. Okay. There's some manifest questions. The first one dealt with spending on the auditorium. Can I confirm that we started spending, and also whether we can track it so we can have running total available to us for the spending? And so the first two items up here for the auditorium relate to repairs, while the third one does relate to the school board vote of January 22nd. To date, the purchase order for just the lighting, $172,428, of which we've already spent $14,660.
Can you scroll back up, so I'm confused, because you're saying the first two items, we don't count that because they're repairs, but wasn't part of the expenditure recorded $1 million to repair?
Yes, so no, the lights were an upgrade. What this is we had to have a mandatory inspection of the rigging and some of the systems, like where the pulley for moving the curtain, I think cable jumped off.
I thought the specific was, originally for lighting and sound.
Lighting and sound.
And the curtain.
The curtain, well, this is a curtain activity.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between the curtain and the mechanism for moving the curtain. Massive. But the curtain itself is super expensive.
Yeah.
That was going, this is the first I heard of the mechanism having a problem. Honestly, Jamie, I hadn't even heard of it until right now, because I haven't had it.
My concern is that we pour off things that are associated with the auditorium upgrade,
Yeah,
and we end up overspending what we said we were gonna do.
so Matt, the pulley,
Yes,
we had a mandatory inspection,
yes.
and can you just say that one more time? The pulley mechanism is struggling,
It's been repaired.
okay?
And then and then the other was rigging. So like you have to have a certain type of safety mechanisms on the items up above, and
There was a catwalk up there.
it was never installed.
Okay, well, that's the end of that. It's the auditorium, I mean, it would be good to see all the different aspects. I mean, if the two of you want to have like a formal tour of the auditorium, we'd be happy to do that for you, because it is It is a very complex piece of the school's functioning equipment. It's probably one of the most complicated places. Maybe the automotive shop is more, right? Or the woodworking shop in terms of safety. But the auditorium includes all the set stuff, where they put the sets, how to manage the sets. When Matt talks about, I understand the rating to be when you climb up to manage the lights and the cables and all the things, the settings, but some of that's becoming automated as we get more advanced.
Some of this is to prevent the lights from dropping from the ceiling.
Yeah,
So-
that's not the light fixture itself.
I think to Jamie's point, just so we keep it clear, when we approve, a certain amount of money, for the improvement, I think if you keep them clear.
Yeah, I would separate them, like,
Fair.
the sound system is one thing, the light fixtures themselves is another.
Running total, here's what we approved, here's what's being taken out.
Exactly, and they should be completely separate, I agree completely.
And they are.
You should be able to see what, at the end of the day, is what money, either through some other things or through this money that was approved, have been spent on upgrading the auditorium.
Yes, I
We
agree.
that include all of those.
Yeah,
And if you want to categorize them differently and show them differently, that's fine. We should
Yeah.
include everything that's going to the auditorium.
yeah, absolutely.
The LA auditorium
Yeah,
cost.
And there's another reason for that. In many years, when we're all not here, the high school seems new, but it's not. It's getting older. It's getting older. And so in many years, when all new technology is available, we need to know what was replaced when.
Next year,
Next year.
technologies every year.
6 months, some of it. But yeah, no, you're right. The rate of growth is unbelievable.
Okay, so just to Jamie's point, there's a purchase order for each item of the approved, of the school board authorization, okay? And what I've got is a screenshot of just one of the purchase orders. And so the purchase order amount is $173,000. We paid $14,000 to date, and I can itemize it by just dumping it out of the system.
Yeah, all I'm saying is if we're putting in these other ancillary repairs, we should capture that in total auditorium cost.
I think until we can say that and I don't speak for you, so jump in, but in my mind, until we can say, because of the backlog and back orders and everything else, until we can say everything has been completed that we approved for X amount, you need to keep the running list, right?
Yeah.
And this is what's being deducted from the initial amount we approved for the upgrades. This is what's being spent additionally for repairs at, whatever, and then there's a total. And then, then at least we say, okay, the upgrades that we approved are completed, and then you.
Auditorium is complete with everything done in a box. This is what the cost was, the $250,000 plus anything else that's in there.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, the next question was, reimbursing a parent for a trip from Manchester to Bayview, okay?
And that was okay, that was almost okay.
And I deleted the image.
Yeah, I wanted you to, I put a note in there saying, take out the names.
Okay, I just want you to know that we did try to find transportation, and they gave us a price that was over $54,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Is that Salter?
And that was Durham.
And who's the blue box again?
It's all there. A box on both houses.
Okay, the next one is, you asked, about what is a game manager and what are paying $930 for it. I didn't delete this one because this one is subject to disclosure.
But this is fun, so the game manager's guy that runs the clock.
And the scoreboard.
Okay.
For I'm sorry, the score book and the clock for all the basketball games.
That's fine.
Okay,
I just didn't understand what a game manager is.
and then that's it for that. Status of the RFP for custodian, we issued it. The next thing is March 9th, and it's gonna be due at the end of the month.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Okay, status of the LED lights. I'm waiting for the next facilities committee meeting. I've got the RFP halfway.
And I got my person on hold based upon the prior discussions, because we couldn't get a meeting scheduled, so someone will have to let me know when we want to try and schedule her and the committee's available.
Okay, and then I want to, finish the RFP after that meeting. Okay, because I want to make sure that it's complete. The reason why I want to control the RFP is because we may be getting some, grants that may include some federal funds. So it has has to have some specific language in it to comply with the federal grants. Okay? Budget adjustments. The van purchase. So had a conversation with athletic director. He wants to contribute $9,600 from student transportation towards the purchase price of the bus or the van.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. You said originally it was figuring 20,000 a year, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up, March, April, May, June,
Yes.
so.
Okay.
Seems right on track.
There is an argument that special ed could contribute towards the purchase price of the bus. However, that would require a school board vote for school board policy.
And they're using it, correct?
They are using it, but they didn't have, see, you have to understand, we had this conversation before this meeting. Special education really wasn't going out. They were renting a school bus to go out and go to the supermarket and do all of their normal programming. With this van, they're going out a lot more often than before. The amount of this van is being used all the time.
They're not renting, you just said they were renting a bus, or what's it?
I mean, like, you know, hiring Durham.
How much,
A trip, I think, for Durham is like $360 a trip.
how often are they doing it?
Not as often as they're going now.
Now that they've got the van, they're doing it more often because they don't have to pay.
Yeah, look, I always, whenever you bring that stuff up, it's good to quantify it, right? Like, in my mind, if you're saying, you know, they were renting something and now they're using the van, it'd be nice to quantify, like,
Yeah,
they, in a 3-month period, they spent this much, and then you equate that to savings.
they probably used it about once a month. Now they're using it 4 times a week.
So $9 a quarter, so.
Yeah, not a lot, but the cool thing is that the impact for the kids is fantastic.
Yeah, no, okay.
And that's, yeah,
But the rec fund, we should capture that.
yeah, why not?
But then it just substantiates that this was a good investment, right?
Right, because you get the increased activity for the kids and the reduced cost.
Yeah.
Another way
I
to
can-
quantify it would be if we used it at the rate that we're using the current van, it would have been X. Which is why we couldn't do it before, right? Like multiply all the number of trips that the van has gone on times the rate for the bus. Not that that's real, but that's why they didn't do it before. It's cost prohibitive.
I mean, to me, I don't mind just going with it as it is, but it would be good to run those numbers and be able to put that out in the next meeting. To be
Yeah,
able to
no, I'm
provide
fine.
that.
Sure, absolutely. And just so you're aware, everybody loves it so much that the Kingston Rec Department is asked to rent it from us for their senior trips.
We had $52,000.
Yeah.
Oh, you're from Kingston.
Yeah.
All right, then, I make a motion to approve the budget adjustment for the van.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Thank you. The next one is special education. They have 2 of them. The first one is to move $28,000. Basically what they're doing is they're taking it out of state tuition and moving it into it looks like private tuition. And it's to cover anticipated tuition costs related to services from March until June. And then the second one is for 17, oh, well, you don't need to approve this one because that's within my power. But if you want to, great. $1,700 to for professional services for instruction to cover tutoring for a hospitalized student.
Yeah, I have no issues with it. I move to approve both the special education budget transfers.
Second?
All in favor? Aye, unanimous.
Okay, and this is on the agenda twice.
Yeah.
So recommendation of school lunch prices. So in,
Are we talking about that at the board meeting too?
yes,
So then I'd say, can we skip that and talk to the charter of council?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Totally cool. Yep.
So charter of council, I want to do there, let's talk to Matt. Right now, we take all of our, we talked about what we could do different for charter of council reporting. So one of the things that's come up with my discussions with Matt recently is we take all the healthcare and we put it into the 0-0 location, which is really a non-location. It's an accumulator for healthcare. And what I want to do is I want to say, well, let's put it into the schools. So district-wide is location 70, whatever the district-wide healthcare is, put it in location 7, keep the function code the same, but put it in location 7. There's enough of a diversity in the cohort that you can't make out who did what. Same thing for the high schools, is location code 27, just use location code 27 for the high school people, use a middle school code 25 for the middle school people, use a memorial code, I forget the number.
Yeah, so you're allocating it correctly.
The only place I would make the adjustment where I wouldn't do it completely like that is there is a location for preschool baking. And I'd combine that with baking, because preschool baking is too small a cohort, and somebody could
And that
delve out who chose what for
Yeah.
health insurance.
Yep, and then I would have one report, not 2 reports.
And yeah, and that would allow us to see where it's really going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're okay with that,
So
right?
I'm okay with that.
And I think that will help us in some of the non-publics that we're having coming up, over the course of the next 6 months. Yeah, so I think we should do that, go ahead and do that
I second.
now. All in favor?
Okay.
And I think that's it,
So,
4:30
Ding.
on the mark. All right? Anything else for the good of the order, or we can wrap up and let the next group in?
we can wrap up.
All right,
All right,
meeting adjourned, thank you.
Thank you.